Good evening. Yes, this is Spirit Journey. Today is Saturday, April 22nd, 2017. It's about 7:45 p.m. I want to share with you my experience. I had visited my mom for a couple of days and we watched a movie together. The movie that we watched was Titanic, and it'll be going on 20 years since that movie came out. And it affected me so strongly. And I want to share with you why it affected me so strongly. Now, a lot of people watch the Titanic. The Titanic is about a luxury liner that wasn't supposed to be sinkable, but the unthinkable happened. It did sink when a iceberg hits it, and it sank, and most of the people died in that tragedy. Now, the movie features this one woman. She was from an upper class background. She's engaged to this rich tycoon, but in her journey there, she's miserable, what they call the poor, miserable rich girl. But she meets this other guy and she falls in love. He's a pauper who's a starving artist. Well, at the end of the movie, see, I don't think I'm spoiling the movie since it's 20 years old and most people have seen it, but I want to discuss a particular aspect of the movie that really seemed full circle in my understanding regarding life and death. Now, 20 years ago, I was a Christian, and my understanding was based on traditional Protestant doctrines about life and death. But now, being introduced to the possibility of reincarnation and the works of Doloras Cannon, she was a past life regressionist, and she had interviewed many people, and she researched for about 40 plus years the whole thing about what happens after we die, and do we have another life after this? So, with that in my mind now, and understanding according to her works that there is life after death, and that at the end of this movie, it really explained that concept about life and death and possible reincarnation, that there's life on the other side. And that really made me excited in a happy way. I did still cry like I cried before, but my crying now is different. A different reason. I want to share with you what happened. Now, in the movie, at the very end, it's like the last 5 minutes, the protagonist in the movie, a young woman, she is giving the account on what happened to her and the person that she meets, and that she told her new beau that, she will never let go, and he does die, and she got rescued and her life continued on. And this event supposed to have taken place 1912 around, and back then women's roles was very much cut in stone. And you gather at the end of the movie, she has this necklace that she has, and it's the last link to the event what happens. And the necklace actually was given to her by her fiancé, and she had broken off the engagement. So she has this last connection, and she's at sea, and she throws overboard at the site of the accident deliberately. And that seemed to reconnect her affiliation with the Titanic, the tragedy that happened there, and linking herself with her lost beau and everything in between, because she had survived the accident and she did all these wonderful things. She went to different countries. It looked like in a photograph she was a pilot, possibly. So she lived a very full life. She had also married and has children. So now, after throwing overboard this extremely expensive necklace, she's in bed now, and surrounding her bed are photographs of her lifespan, her rich lifespan, and she seems very content. And then you speculate that she dies, and she dies in her sleep, suggested that that's what happened. And so the next thing you see is the underwater of the modern Titanic, which is all dilapidated and everything, and then it changes, it morphs into a brand new Titanic, and then you see these doors open, and it looked beautiful, and then you see all the people who had died back then in 1912, and everybody's dressed their best. You have the rich and the poor all together inside the ship, and then they started applauding and clapping to her as she enters, and then you see her as a young woman, like when she enters, like they're not actually showing her, but it's like they show as if she's the one that's viewing everything, the camera angle, and then the camera pans back on her so you can see her now, and then she meets her beau, her lost love. And why that affected me was that, according to the works of Doloras Cannon, at least my understanding about Doloras Cannon's work as a past life regressionist and about past life, multiple lives, that it seemed like to me when she threw the necklace from her past into the place where the ship sank, it's reconnecting her to the energies of those people and her lost beau there. And so before, she had a full life, but now she made a promise back then in 1912 that she's not going to let go. And of course, she had to let go of her beau's hand when he passed on. But now she's back on board, so to speak, with the agreement, the contract agreement. That's how I internalized what happened at the end. She had an agreement, and now with the necklace being thrown overboard, and now her transition from her life as an elderly person, now she dies and being reintroduced to everyone from the ship. And so you saw all of them, young and old, and it made me feel that they would welcome her back home. And that, according to Doloras Cannon, that there's no time on the other side. And so maybe to her, she had an 80-plus lifespan after the tragedy of the sinking of the ship. But time there, whether it's 80 years or 1 year, it's all the same. There's no time. And so her being reintroduced to the people on the ship, it was like, hey, let's wait for her to come. And maybe there was agreement. Maybe she, in her life, before her life, maybe she made a contract agreement to go through this learning experience on the Titanic to learn what love is, and learn about class distinction, learn about what it's like to be a woman versus a man, because the lives between a man and a woman back then was so extreme. So it's like she passed the test. It seemed like it was a test. And like they say, like what I've heard in life, that life is a stage, and that, according to Doloras Cannon's work, that it's all a play. And it's almost like make-believe. Initially, you think it's so real because you're so submerged in this 3D world. And then when you transition, you realize it all was hype. So my watching this after almost 20 years later, it made me feel hopeful. And I'm wondering whether something like this really, whether it's real, whether something like this is what's going to happen to all of us. Did I make an agreement here as this life? Did I choose my parents? Did I choose my friends? And I'm supposed to have some type of learning thing. I was supposed to learn something through all this. Who knows? But whatever what it is, it's food for thought, and it's really awakening myself and having me reconsider from being a Protestant to being someone who is a spiritual seeker and wanting to know what the truth is about life. And that once everything is all done, that I accomplish my task. So that's all I really want to share with you, and I hope it makes a lot of sense what I'm discussing. And you could feel free to comment below what your experiences were when you saw the movie after X number of years, and you saw the very end of the movie when she transitions and sees her old beau. What did you feel when you saw it? So feel free to comment below, to share this video with your friends and family members. You can subscribe to Spirit Journey. And also, those of you who enjoy my videos and who would like to support me in my video making, that you could consider to donate to me by my PayPal me account, and I thank you, and to give me the thumbs up. Peace, guys. Bye-bye.